and he preached the truth and everybody listened to him and people repented.
God vertelt.
For 120 years. Symbolic of the full lifespan of a person. God is saying it might take you your entire life. Listen to him.
Maar het is Noach.
Now we all listen to him.
En nu luisteren we allemaal naar hem.
He was willing to dedicate the equivalent of an entire life to speaking the truth.
Hij was gewillig.
He was just able to save his own family, the people that he was able to save, and he was able to convince them not to follow this evil. There's going to come a time in history. The Bible isn't telling us just stories about the past.
De Bijbel vertelt
a time when you might be called entire life being Noach. To be Noach. I can't ignore that we're standing in The Hague, such a place, and everything that's being done here in the opposite of that. After Israel has faced this level of evil, the ones who have tried to kill us, who are being put on trial. That's being put on trial. That's being told that even though we take more effort to try to protect innocent lives than probably has ever been in any war, on trial for genocide. I don't know, my initial reaction to this would be to just say, okay, the world is crazy. It was brought by South Africa against Israel, the International Court of Justice. And there was a part in the beginning where, as evidence, they put up Jewish soldiers. Now imagine, they had left their families, left their wives and their children, tried to free the hostages and stop Hamas. Praying. Praying. God, please help us stop Amalek in the world. Amalek in the Bible. Amalek is the ones who attacked the weak, the elderly, the people who were slow in the back of the camp. To fight that in their life. Some men were calling out to God saying, let me be a vessel in darkness. That was put on the screen, evidence against Israel. I said to myself, this doesn't feel like normal life. In normal life, when there's a trial for genocide, they'll be showing all of Iran's nuclear weapons that they're building. They'll be showing terror tunnels. That's the kind of evidence you bring when you're making a trial for genocide, not soldiers praying, please let me be a vessel to end evil in the world.
En toen dacht ik dat.
We're not in normal life.
En toen dacht ik, misschien is het leven wel niet zo normaal als ik dacht.
Maybe we're actually living in prophecy.
Misschien leven we wel in de profetieën.
And I was called to look at Isaiah 43. 43 verse 9, it says, where all the nations gathered together and all of the regimes assembled. The time where all the nations will gather together. This was assumed to be poetic or some sort of parable. Could all nations gather together in one room? At that time, could we understand this to be literal? All nations would assemble together. And we hear of a trial that happens with all of the nations sitting together. Trial, they say, let them bring their witnesses and they will be vindicated. Say it is true. Anything that sounds more like the trials that we're seeing in The Hague than a trial where they bring the witnesses and before anyone has heard the other side, they've already said, true. In a normal trial, you only decide what's true at the end of the trial. It's telling us one day all the nations will sit together and before they've even heard the evidence, they just bring their own evidence and they've already decided what is the final decision. But if the decision has been decided ahead of time, what's the point of this whole show? And also a plan for this to happen, it seems so pointless. So verse 10 says, you are my witnesses, the word of God. My servants who I have chosen. Oh, Israel, you think you're on trial?
En God zegt,
you're the defendants. No, you are the witnesses.
Nee, zegt hij, jullie zijn mijn getuigen.
You are the evidence in the trial. The evidence, then who's on trial? The verse is saying God is bringing us as his witnesses, as his evidence, so who's on trial? Saying you think you're on trial, but it's actually me. Trial of there being God is the idea that there is goodness, that there is truth, that there is a difference between good and evil. It says, don't worry, it's not me. It's the idea of my existence that's on trial. What's happening to Israel right now, testimony that God brings in that trial to show his existence. Because if not for the existence of God, how could this make any sense? What he wants to do in the face of that. And it says, so that you will know and believe in me, and you will understand that I am created by a God, nor will there be after me. only I am God, and there is no deliverer aside from me.
Vers 11.
So it's not the outcome of the trial that matters,
Dus het is
but rather the understanding that we take away in the face of it. Like in Noah, we're asked, when evil arises, where are we going to stand? A
zoals
lot of places in the Hebrew Bible where we're told to believe.
zijn vele plaatsen.
Very few times in the Bible does it ever talk about understanding.
Maar
We really understand anything. It's in God's plan, do we really understand?
Want hoe kun
But this time God tells us,
Maar deze keer zegt
really going to be able to understand in the face of this trial.
dat we
These times when God himself and goodness itself are on trial, is to really understand,
wat er
to understand that this is all part of God's plan, and there is no way to be saved. There is no way to be safe in all of this except for in our faith in Hashem. Instead of despairing in a moment like this, it's, I think, a time for us to be happy that we have the Bible guiding us.
en dat we in
It takes us a lifetime opportunity,
dit is
Jews and Gentiles together, stand up and to proclaim with courage
om te gaan
this ministry is doing.
zoals ik
People who are watching us who are Bible believers all over the world.
en vele
Opportunity to proclaim that truth and say, as long as it takes,
dit is
never back down, claiming that we are going to be on the side of truth, on the side of goodness, on the side of God.
en aan de kant bedankt dat